say thank you one more time. We already said thank you to the whole district for supporting our big fundraiser. That was the end of March. We have since done a lot of due diligence and counting of numbers. I'm happy to report it was the highest grossing annual fundraiser we've had in over 5 or 6 years. Wow. So it was a tremendous success. So thank you again to the district, everyone, all the attendees for coming. It was a lot of fun. And we had great food this year as well. We always have great food, but we have a lot of good food coming. Yes,
that was a big cake. It's going to cost you next year.
No. You have one grant that you guys are going to be, approving. It's a grant that actually came from the students in coordination with one of the parents. It's for a trip to DC for the African American Cultural Museum. It's a trip that's been done in the past. This year, the timing didn't work out, so the grant was resubmitted and extended so it could go into next school year. But I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the submission video, which was done by students. It was really, really cool that there was a collaboration on a project that was of so much interest. And lastly, we have our, we call them our awards, our summer and our senior awards. That deadline was Monday. There, I think, was some talk about extending them, but we're excited. We always offer a number of students from 9th all the way to graduating, some summer awards to further their study. So we'll have more information on that probably in about a month in time for awards night. So that's it.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. PTA, go next.
Hi, everyone. Stephanie Ballmer, LPS PTA. So our immediate news is that our book fair is running right now with the Frenchtown Bookshop. It's all set up in the library. It looks great. It's open to the public every day after school until 3:30, and then we'll be open tomorrow evening from 5 to 7 to coincide with the PTA meeting, which is from 5 to 5:30, and STEM night, which is from, not going to say it, but it's tomorrow evening at LPS. And so I can't quite remember the times. But anyway, the fair will be open. So if you have a chance to stop into the library, please do. It's a really beautiful collection of books that they put together for us. And the kids had a great time today going through it. It's just like squeals of excitement. Our walkathon will begin this Friday, and it will run through Sunday, May 15th. It will be run just as it has been in the last couple of years. So I'm sure you'll be hearing about it from students in the district. The walk itself will happen in conjunction with Field Day on Thursday, May 25th. So that will be, we did that last year too, and it worked out really well. We'll have a couple of weeks to have this. This is our big annual fundraiser. It's really been our only fundraiser this year, our major one for the whole organization. So we're hoping to be able to meet what we raised last year. So please support that if you can. There is going to be our field day, as I said, is on the 25th, and the board has secured Next Level Ninja to do some inflatables and obstacle courses, so it sounds like it's going to be pretty fabulous. Our end of year party will be on Wednesday, June 7th at Ely Park from 4 to 7. And the PTA is also funding a mad science assembly focused on fire and ice. I think this was an idea from the PTO, so thanks for that. We're really excited it came together for our students too, and that's on June 1st. And with any luck, teachers can go pack while the students are at the assembly. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. PTO.
I'm going to be a little long-winded. Hi, guys. To piggyback on what she said, it's been wonderful because with Steph and Nicole, we've been able to work together on a lot of things. And with your idea for a field day, we actually booked the same thing. So, and then there was another idea we kind of took from you guys and rolled with it with Teacher Appreciation Week. So it's been really nice for all of us to work together. The year is flying by, and we've been busy preparing for the end of the year festivities. Our Mega 50 is back. Tickets are $10 each, and the winner will receive 50% of the amount received for all tickets or rights to participate. The winning ticket will be pulled by the family that sold the most tickets on May 5th at 2 p.m. Tickets have only been on sale for 5 days, and the pot's over $2,000 already. So It's a good one for us. That being said, in past years, we've really scaled back on our fundraising efforts. We shifted focus to more fundraising events, but having fun costs a lot of money. So we really rely on things like the Mega 50/50 to fund our field day, especially. This year's field day is Friday, June 2nd. As I said, we're going to be having the next level ninja thing too. Field day costs include a t-shirt for every student and staff member at West Amwell, barbecue lunch cooked by the Lambertville Fire Department, inflatables, and dessert. If anyone would like to support the Mega 50/50, please feel free to reach out to any PTO board member or visit Membership Toolkit. You just go to the store, select Mega 50/50 and purchase your ticket, and depending on where you are in the district, your ticket will be delivered to you. If anyone's interested tonight, I happen to have some hard copies. So our other major source of fundraising this year and past years has been our Kids Night Out events. These events are a great source of income for the PTO. They require very little overhead and planning with a pretty big reward. This year, we've raised about $5,500 through hosting these events. And they allow us to fund things like Teacher Appreciation Week, Kona Ice for the last day of school. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but each year we give every teacher in West Amwell $50 towards classroom supplies, so they go out and shop and then submit receipts to us. It also funds our Break the Ice social for incoming kindergartners and children new to West Amwell. So I'm just highlighting, we don't do a ton of fundraising, but the fundraisers that we do are really, really important to us. Our rising sixth graders have been working hard to start their fundraising efforts for the year. For next year, they have 2 events under their belts and many more in the works. So please save the date for their Trenton Thunder event on Friday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. This is a combined event with LPS, and tickets can be bought on Membership Toolkit for both LPS and West Amwell. There's 2 separate links. And the proceeds for LPS will obviously go to LPS, and ours will stay with us. And then each year, the PTO gives a $500 scholarship to a graduating Wildcat alumni. We have received 3 essays this year, and we're really excited to read them and select our winner. We've also been doing a lot of fundraising for the continuation of our alumni scholarship between our walkathon and various donations from local businesses and families. At West Amwell, we're close to our goal. If anyone would like to donate to the scholarship fund, there's a link in the store on Membership Toolkit. Our goal is to make sure that every student who attended West Amwell has the opportunity to be awarded with an alumni scholarship. We're working hard on Teacher Appreciation Week. This year, we sort of stepped our game up a bit. We're compiling a list of local businesses that will be giving discounts to all staff members in the entire district. So staff members can present their district ID to redeem discounts at various businesses. The list will go out the Friday before Teacher Appreciation Week, so that'll be May 5th. And as always, we'll be offering our grab-and-go breakfast on Monday, snack on Wednesday, and a luncheon on Thursday that will be cooked by board members and donated by ShopRite in Flemington. There are a few other surprises that we have up our sleeves that week as well. We're also working hard to make sure that all of the teachers in the district feel the love that week. We've been working with Mrs. McKnight in the hope to include middle school, high school staff members in the celebration. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. We did receive some correspondence this month, and that is available online. So we will move on to approval of the minutes of the last meeting from March the 27th. So I'm seeking a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting. Ronnie, thank you for moving that.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tully. Thank you very much. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'm going to recuse myself since I wasn't here.
Okay, thank you very much. The 801 vote. So next we have, this is the evening we will be passing, we will be voting on our budget this evening. Before we can vote on the budget, we are going to have a public hearing. So the way this will work is we will do a presentation. Mr. Harris will do a presentation on the budget. We will open that hearing for comments from the public, and we'll be commenting just on the budget. Once we are done with comments, we'll close the comments, and at that time the board will vote on the budget for the 2023-24 school school year. And then we will move, and then following that, there will be another public comment period, and it will give you an opportunity to talk about anything else on the agenda that you wish to talk about or off the agenda. But so this first period will be solely for the budget period. So with that, I need a motion to open the budget hearing.
So moved.
Megan, thank you very
Second.
much. And second, Diana, thank you. So the hearing is now open. And Mr. Harris, or Mr. Souza?
Souza's gonna start us
We are both going to do
Oh,
it.
it's a-
We each have
tag
a
team
role.
presentation.
It is. So welcome, everyone. Good to see everyone. Obviously, we have the presentation for those watching at home as well. So just want to, as I typically will do with our budget, and we've been spending a lot of time looking at this, and we'll give an update on that a little bit later as we work on our strategic plan. But this really is our guiding force as far as our mission statement. And hopefully, the budget that we're presenting in front of you this evening represents that mission statement. And just a reminder that we've seen these before, but this year, our district goals, really talking a lot about blended and personalized learning and small group instruction, the priority practices that we introduced to our teaching staff as a self-assessment tool, really looking at barriers, could be, things that are set up that, deny students access in specific areas. We've been spending a lot of time on making sure that we have equity for all of our educational opportunities as well as our after-school activities and transportation. Social emotional learning, which has been, in the district for quite some time and will continue to be. And then, an exciting time as we really begin the transition to a new district configuration coming shortly. So a lot of work has already been done in that area as well. Just board goals, provide support and resources to myself, for the achievement of our district goals. And then it was very important that the board embark on a strategic planning process, which I'm going to detail a little bit further in my superintendent update. So hopefully by the end of it, develop a new 5-year plan. So when we talk about budget, truly is what we value as a district. We want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible to our taxpayers. And it's a planning tool, right, for contingencies and mitigate risk depending upon if things were to happen, facility-wise or whatever it may be. We want to make sure that we're thinking about those things as we develop our budget. And I think we've proven this over the last several years that we truly are, hopefully providing opportunities for all of our students as well as extracurricular and co-curricular activities, developing the whole child with social emotional learning, and then also really trying to support our staff and develop our staff for excellence. And then for the district, our long-term plan for academics, our long-term plan for staffing, especially as we get to the new configuration, and then we are fortunate where we have addressed our long-standing facility issues and are working on and developing the process of starting and building the new buildings and renovations. So I thought it was important just to point out with our budgets what we've been able to do, and I thank the board for this because I think it's a lot, especially facing a 2% cap, which can be challenging. But I did want to highlight on a few slides of all the many things that we've been able to do. We've implemented our district instructional vision, as I talked about before, but then we've also included 2 instructional coaches as part of our budget, and will continue to be part of our budget to help support our teachers at the ground level, as well as allowing cohorts of our teachers to work with a consultant in the district. So it's not just about professional development, but it's actually in practice, in the trenches, in our classrooms. And then we're spending a lot of time, we talked about at our meeting last month about schedule changes, specifically 7-12 next year, really building out that systematic intervention system for all of our students to utilize. We have excellent class sizes for a pre-K-12 public school district, and I'll show that a little bit more as we move forward. We've done some significant program reviews with our budget, ESL, and then most recently special education. I just want to put a shout out. I know we had talked about originally presenting the findings of special ed this evening, but because it is the public budget hearing, we are going to move that to next month. So at May 22nd meeting, we will be providing an overview of that report, and then I'll be sharing the full report with the community, which is about 101 pages long. I'm very excited about this preschool expansion. So we will have 60 preschoolers in our district next year, and we will continue to expand. And the way it looks from our recent lottery, it looks as though we'll be going to a 5th section probably the year after, based on the number of students. So that's really, really exciting. And then looking at program expansion, when we talk about dual enrollment programs with Seton Hall and CCNJ, and we introduced something called the National Equity Lab, which provides students an opportunity to take courses in some of the most prestigious universities and colleges throughout the country, Stanford, Harvard, UPenn, Princeton, some amazing schools. So those are different opportunities we've been expanding upon each and every year. A new master schedule, right, for our 7-12 students we've talked about, after-school tutoring, summer academic program. Obviously, things have been going out. We have a lot of students and families who signed up for our summer program, so we're excited about that. Can't forget about our mental health supports and all the different things, adding accounts for this year. It's focusing specifically on a caseload to support students and families. Our therapy dog program, which, by the way, a quick update, and we'll talk about this, but I'll probably will have our staff and our dogs, we're probably going to invite them to our May 22nd meeting, because starting next week, we're all doing our final tests, and we will be done with the program since last July. So I'm really excited about that. And then the youth mental health first aid training that we did with all of our staff in August before the school year, which is really important. And our students, I might add, where we introduced it to our students at the high school here as part of their health and phys ed. Our facility issues, which I talked about, we did some major upgrades, and quite honestly, I think with our musical this year and our concerts, it was pretty obvious to see what we were able to do with audio and visual and lighting and all the many things that we were unable to do in the past. We have the most offerings right now that we've ever had in the district. We have over 65 extracurricular, co-curricular activities for kids to be involved with after the school day. So I think that's amazing. Obviously, we want as many students as possible to be involved in our activities. Late buses, so, we introduced that. It's been a huge success. All of our students, right, we identified a barrier, a gap, that we had some of our students who don't reside in the district not participating in extracurricular activities because of transportation issues, and we have solved that, and now we have much more in participation, which I'm excited about. Home internet access, which we started during COVID, so there's no reason any family or student should be out without internet access at home because of the financial hardship. Cybersecurity training, doing that on an annual basis. There's not many districts that are doing that, and that is a hot topic that we continue to kind of focus on with our staff. We added a winter dance team this year, additional student unions, and flag football we added with our budget. So those of you who may have been here on Saturday, I wasn't here, but I heard we did very well in our game for flag football, which is great. Computer science programming and podcasting we've added. LED lights throughout the entire middle school and high school. This room used to have pendants, be much darker. You could actually see things. The only disadvantage is now everyone wants everything painted, so you can see it. So that will be the next thing. iPads for our pre-KK and first grade students. Chromebooks, which I believe are actually on the agenda tonight as part of our budget, as a Chromebook refresh. Curriculum updates that we've done, each and every summer and throughout the school year, which has been amazing. So a lot to accomplish, a lot of things that we've been able to do with the 2% cap over the last couple of years, and that really is a credit to the board, being fiscally responsible and supporting every program that we have for students, whether it's academic, extracurricular, social emotional learning, whatever, mental health. So kudos to the board for that. Just process-wise, this is a long process when we develop a budget. So we start really back in October, where we begin discussions with our administrative team, Andrew and myself. Andrew meets with all of our administrators. We kind of start getting some tentative ideas before we go into winter break. We really ask our administrators to build out their budgets of what they see. We do, start from scratch, right? So it's zero-based budgeting, so it's not just rolling over what you had from last year. We do put our administrators through a rigorous task where we print out reports from last year to year before and say, you budgeted this, but you didn't use it. Can we cut here? Can we reduce? We really are as fiscally responsible as we possibly can. Then we actually start developing our preliminary budget when we come back from break and reviewing it. Andrew and I have to sit with the county superintendent and the county BA for about 2 hours and kind of go through our budget from A to Z, identify all different things, facilities, enrollment, needs, whatever it may be, and they kind of pick through it and ask us a lot of questions. We did a work session back in February with the board, and then our finance committee really has been looking at that budget for 2-3 months, kind of fine tuning it. Obviously, each and every day, or even each and every year, we wait for the governor's address because we never know what state funding is going to look like as far as state aid. So you can see when that took place, and then usually within 48 hours, we get our state aid numbers. I'm happy to report that we did get a slight increase, which is always a positive. There were a lot of districts who were reduced in state aid. And then our preliminary budget, we adopted on March 27th. We submitted it to the county superintendent as a preliminary, still can be changed. And then tonight's our final hearing, final opportunity for the board to hear from the public, and then hopefully adopt the budget by the end of our meeting today. So just a couple things to think about. We are in the people business, so you can see that over 75% of our budget is in staff and benefits. And obviously, you know, our increases, especially with benefits, have been well over 2%, so that's been a challenge. Special education and programs and services, I mean, as we include more and more extracurricular activities, that's something that impacts our budget. Maintenance and operations, especially for our aging facilities. Transportation's always been a challenge, especially with fuel costs. And then ratables and state aid. You know, our ratables can go up and down within our communities. And then state aid, you know, we hope that we remain the same each and every year or get a slight increase, but we never know depending upon the year. So those are all things that obviously impact our budget. So I'm going to turn it over to Andrew. He's going to take you through the next couple slides about some of the backbones and terminology of our budget.
Tony wanted me to do the exciting stuff, the terms and the definitions. So one of the important terms we talked about is general fund. That is what is supported by the tax levy. Most of the tax levy goes to the general fund, and that's what pays salaries, what pays for supplies, textbooks, Chromebooks, all those sort of things. As noted here, if we don't use all of it, some of that is rolled over into the following year. Typically, that goes into your reserve account, your capital reserve, your maintenance reserve, the things we need to pay for the bigger ticket items. Tax levy, that's what we raise through taxes each year. That's where we're capped at the 2%. Again, that covers the general fund items. General fund is also supported by state aid. So you will see the tax levy is a certain number, but the overall general fund is a little bit higher because it's supported by state aid. Debt service, that's the money we're using to repay back our debt. So that's our referendum from the past. So that's another piece of the tax levy. So again, the majority of the tax levy goes towards the general fund. The additional money that goes from the tax levy is debt service. Fund balance, that's what I talked about before, and surplus, that gets rolled over in future years. Fund balance is usually used to offset the following year's budget, and then additionally, like I said, keep supporting our capital reserves and our maintenance reserves, so that way we have the funds we need to do the projects that we need to do to keep the district going. Bank cap is an important number. There are certain things like health benefit increases, enrollment increases, deferred pension contributions, that if we don't use those in the budgeting process, then we're able to bank those for up to 3 years, so that way we need them in later years. So the idea is, again, we try to maintain up to 2%, but sometimes health costs can increase 15-20%, and that's just not going to be covered by the tax levy. So we have the ability through the budgeting process to go above that 2% cap without having to go out for a special election. This year we have $7,343 that we are allowed to use. The cap is going to expire, but we won't be using it. Capital reserve, we spoke about this a moment ago. Again, it's a reserve account we use for the capital projects like the things that Tony highlighted. So the auditorium, pole barn, soccer field, track, those sort of things are just examples of some capital projects that are paid for through capital reserve. Equalization rate, this is a tough one, but in simple terms, it's an equalization rate represents the average level of assessment in each community. It's the total assessed divided by the total market value. This is determined by the county. We have nothing to do with this. We're given those numbers. So again, just to highlight some of the things that come out of our budget, staff salaries, benefits, special education costs, technology, custodial, maintenance, transportation, those make up a huge portion of the budget, just those items right there. Classroom supplies, program supplies, textbooks, co-curricular activities. As Tony said, we offer the most we've ever offered, but that comes at a cost. Extracurricular activities is your athletics, and then obviously curriculum instruction, which is what we hear, important stuff. Quick breakdown of just kind of where the money goes. We can see percentage benefits makes up 16% of our overall budget for next year. Regular instruction is salaries. That makes up 31.2%. Transportation is 4.3%. Preschool, that is funded through state, but that does make up 4.5%. Central services is just business office and things that support the operations of the district. Operations is your buildings and grounds. That's your, all the things that you do to keep the district running from day to day, including custodial. Special education instruction is 21.5%. And then we have some of the other ones that are just as important but don't make up as big of a portion: athletics, co-curricular, guidance, administration, and curriculum services. So again, just another breakdown. These are the revenues, so that's everything we have to pay for. How are we going to pay for it? Again, we get 11.8% through state aid, 6.3% through federal aid. That number will go down after this year's budget, after this coming school year's budget. That's supported by the ARP-ESSER, which was some of the acts that went through due to the pandemic. So that number usually hovers around 2%, so that'll be a significant cut. Tax levy, again, property taxes make up the vast majority of our revenue, 76.34%. And then preschool expansion aid this year, we are getting $891,000 because of the expansion of our program. And then again, if we continue to expand, we will get additional aid. We still have rental income through the CDA program. Fund balance, like I said, is funds that were not spent in the prior year's budget that we can use in next year's budget to help support and offset some of the costs. Pay to play, and then interest. And then some challenges we face. Again, as I said just a moment ago, ESSER is expiring, so those federal funds are going away. We are capped at 2% for our tax levy, but we do have salary increases that generally hover around 3%. Health benefits this year, which again you saw make up 16% of our overall budget, will be increasing by 9%. Which we're still fortunate to be in what's called the Public Employers Trust. If we were in the State Employees Health Benefit Plan, their rates are going up 15% next year. So we're fortunate to be a part of, and we're a part of the Public Employer Trust because we have such good ratings. So it's something that we got to join, and we see the benefits of that. Energy costs continue to increase year over year by significant percentages. Transportation costs with fuel and repair and driver shortages are definitely a challenge. And then, of course, out-of-district tuition for special education.
All right, just a couple things I wanted to mention that are earmarked for our capital reserve account. So the first one, pre-K4 roof replacement. So when we talk about LPS right now, just a couple things to keep in mind. The roof on that building was done right prior to regionalization. Right after regionalization. But we had, quite honestly, we have some concerns about it because of the way it was done. From what I'm told, it was several different contractors that were on the job for a variety of reasons, and we're keeping an eye on that. So we have put out to the state, there's something called ROD grants that came back online from the state that have not been around for a while, where you can apply for grants for facility issues specifically and get up to 40% funded by the state. So it is something that we're looking at. We've built some money into our capital reserve. It wasn't part of the referendum because technically it's still under warranty, but my concern is that down the road, it may be something that we need to address sooner than later. And then we've also put in some contingencies for our school construction projects for the bid process. And when we put our projects out to bid, we didn't include things like flooring and technology and security infrastructure. And the reason behind that is we had some specific ideas of what we wanted, and we wanted to be able to kind of handpick the vendors that we were utilizing. And I'm going to show you a little bit about that in a second with furniture. So those are built in as well. We may not have to use them at all, but we wanted to build in a contingency plan, especially because we all know that since we started this process 2 years ago, obviously construction costs have increased significantly for a variety of different reasons. So just something I wanted to kind of make you aware of as far as our capital reserve account. So what does this draft budget include? Well, it maintains our small class sizes, and there's a link in there where if you click on it, it kind of shares what our class sizes will look like. I will be sending this out tomorrow, and you can kind of take a look at that. They are very small for our district. So that is something that's beneficial, and it's something that I know is special to this district that we'll continue to maintain. It maintains all of our professional development funding, so everything we've talked about, but what we're trying to work and support teachers, it continues that moving forward for next year, 23-24. As we mentioned, preschool program, and for those of you that aren't aware, you should be by now, but hopefully you've heard about it, but we are partnering with Happy Time, which we're really excited about. So we've been spending a lot of time with them lately. They actually came last week and spent 2 full days at LPS in our preschool classrooms. So we will be utilizing space from them next year for our 4th preschool classroom. And who knows, depending upon how things play out, we may utilize them for our 5th one too the following year, because they're going to be adding on some additional space. So we're really, really excited about that. I think I mentioned before, unfortunately, we really wanted to try to partner with Lambertville Academy, but they didn't have the space based on the state requirements for square footage for classrooms. All the mental health supports that we have for our students will continue for next year, which I'm excited about. We are implementing a new science curriculum, so we've been piloting that this year, several different curriculums. We've made the decision that we will be going with McGraw-Hill Inspire Science in K-8, so we'll be rolling that out to our staff this coming August, and that's part of our budget. As I mentioned, now you'll see it in action. So we've been doing the training all year, but now you will see dogs in all 3 of our buildings every day. Each and every day. So we're really excited about that. Again, continue to look at dual enrollment. We've been having conversations recently with RBCC. We're expanding with TCNJ specifically for a teacher preparation program, which I'm excited about. So we continue to take a look at that. We're maintaining all of our extracurricular and co-curricular activities, and we're always open to more ideas if the budget would support it. We will be continuing with late buses, just as we've done. They were a huge success. We want to make sure that we continue with that. And it also supports the use of the St. John School. So everyone knows by now that we'll be moving LPS into the St. John School for the 23-24 school year. We'll be renting their space, so we'll be supporting that as well. And then a new student information system. So this is going to start coming on pretty quickly. We're actually starting training with our staff in the next 2 weeks. We will be transitioning from Aspen to OnCourse. It's going to be a 3-year phase-in with a variety of different modules. And we hope that it's going to centralize all of our information, be a one-stop shop for our parents. It's a lot more than Aspen, and it gives us much more of an instructional tool than Aspen ever would. So we're really, really excited about that, and you'll be hearing more about that as we get closer to the end of the school year, and you'll hear a lot about it in August before the school year starts. And then supporting the findings and our recommendations for our special education program review. So you'll see there's about 11 or 12 recommendations next month that we'll talk about, and our budget supports that. And next year we will be doing, in our next cycle, a review of our gifted and talented program. So that is something I've heard from parents really since I entered the district. So we'll be focusing on that and then coming to the community probably sometime this time next year with some recommendations. We are reducing staff by 2 full-time employees just by need. And attrition, so nobody's losing their job, it's retirements or resignations. And as we continue to move towards our reconfiguration, this is a process that will start, this is the starting point of it, and we'll continue to go through that as we're better able to utilize our staff. Just a couple things that I want to share. Ratables, which we've talked, you've heard that terminology. Andrew kind of explained, but again, it's just the estimated value of all the taxable properties in the town. And you can see Lambertville and West Amwell has gone up a bit, and then Stockton's gone down a little bit. But that's a big piece. Obviously, the more ratables, the more tax income that comes in, the less impact on taxpayers. So anytime ratables go up, that's a good thing. And then when we look kind of at the percentage share, and this changes from year to year, this is not something that we determine. It's determined by the Hunterdon County Tax Assessor. And Andrew gets this information as far as the overall budget share and what it's going to look like. And again, the ratables come into play and the assessment values and that equalization rate that Andrew had mentioned before. Keeping in mind that the numbers that you see on the far right under 22-23 do not include our 97 choice students. It only includes students who currently live within the district. And then this is always one of my favorite slides. So this is the one where you want to be in last place on the bottom. So tax rates. West Amwell, Lambertville, and Stockton are all at the bottom compared to Hunterdon County. Last year we had a little bit of jump. Tewksbury snuck behind us, but now they're back up again. So again, that's an important thing just to kind of point out to the community. So when we look at our general fund for next year, we are only increasing to the 2% cap. And I think it's important to point out, Andrew mentioned before, even though our health benefit increases were below the state plan, they still were pretty significant at 9%. So based on that, it allows the board to have more spending authority. So the board could have made the decision to go above the 2% cap, an additional $99,038 due to health benefit increases. But the board chose not to do that to contain costs for our taxpayers. And Andrew mentioned before, we have the bank cap that's rolling off. It means that $17,343, if we don't use it for this next year's budget, we lose it, the ability to use it. We are not including that either. I think the board felt very strongly and recognizes the fact that obviously our referendum debt will be starting soon and wanted to really stay at 2%, even though they had the authority to spend over 2%. So kudos to the board for doing that. And then debt service, so you will see a big jump in this, but this really is our mortgage. This is something that has been approved already by all of our voters. We're looking at payments restarting in July of 2023 for the 2021 referendum as we begin all of our renovations in our buildings. And that's something that, you know, we'll have included in our debt service moving forward until eventually in January of 26, when the old referendum debt drops off and we lose that. All right. So before we go to the public, is there any questions from the board first, based on any of the presentation?
Okay. If there are no questions from the board, then we will open the public comment period of the hearing. Same rules as in any other public comment, but you could try to limit your comment to about 3 minutes. And remember, you're addressing the board, you're not addressing the audience. So with that, is there anyone from the public who would like to ask a question or make a statement related to the 2023-24 budget?
Jen Batchelor from West Hamel. Is the interest earned on that investment portion, is that included in
That is not included. That is still separate, and we're continuing to monitor that.
So that kind of remains like off to the side. So that
Yep.
won't be used for like the contingencies of all of that. Okay. And for our 65 extra co-curricular activities, do we have numbers on like participation for each of those activities and like kind of where they fall, like in terms of what, like when you put up the word return on investment, it got me thinking like it's great to have lots of programs, but you know, kind of selecting and choosing the best programs to have and really truly thinking of it in terms of a return on investment. How do we choose those programs? Who participates in them? And do we see kids, you know, do they help them get into college and stuff like that? Just if there's any information on those types of
I've
programs.
started to collect that from the principals.
What's
I've started to collect that from the principals, but that was just a couple of weeks ago. We started to really try to get those hard numbers, but we don't have them.
Oh, I've asked that question about participation rate goals at the beginning of the year, as well as you know, plans and achievements at the end of the year. The teachers do provide a survey to respond to in terms of this is what, you know, this is why we would continue this program or not continue this program. But I think we really want to look at the value of the program to not only the students, but to the school.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think also I've given the board feedback or, you know, have corresponded on when we, you know, issue things through listserv and talk about things our students are doing, seeing more throughout the year about these programs and having the kids come to the board meetings and report on things they're doing would also kind of help with that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else wish to make a comment, statement, ask a question? Seeing none, I will then close the public comment period of the hearing.
If they're done online, sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
So then, therefore, I will close the public comment period of the hearing, and I will ask for someone to make a motion to approve the budget resolution 2023-24, which is spelled out here within the agenda and also attached.
So moved.
Megan, thank you for the motion. Can I have a second, please? Second. Second by Sean, thank you. Any discussion on that motion? And I believe we need a roll call vote.
Gina Bichetti,
Yes.
Brian Keys,
Yes.
Kevin Kowalewski,
Yes.
Sean Lewis,
Yes.
Tracy Truly,
Yes.
Diana Fasell,
Yes.
Megan Warren,
Yes.
Ronnie Todd Marino,
Yes.
Jim Gallagher.
Yes. Okay. So, we will now go into the regular public comment.
Maybe I can
Oh,
do-
excuse
I'll
me, I
do-
jumped
That's all
right
right.
over you.
I figured maybe I'll do
Go
one
right ahead.
update. and we can
Do your, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm back up again, this is my normal monthly update that I wanted to, give some information on, specifically strategic plan, and then also I talked a little bit in my email about the board meeting about an important construction update. So just kind of wanted to provide an update on where we are. We've had 2 awesome turnouts for our strategic planning sessions. Our first session was on March 28th, and the focus on that, for that session, was really on the strengths and the challenges for the district and what the district's facing. And then we had last Tuesday our second session, and for that, we really focused on vision, initiatives, and goals, and kind of narrowed down the goals that we're going to kind of be focused on moving forward for our last session. Our last session is now, the first 2 were on a Tuesday, the last one's on a Wednesday, May 10th. And for that, it's really going to be a focus on objective strategies and then action plans. And it's at 7 p.m., it's in the West Amwell Gym, and I just want to reiterate, if you were unable to attend the first 2 sessions, or maybe only one of the first 2 sessions, you're more than welcome to attend. It doesn't mean because you didn't come in the first 2 that you can't. So we're, again, inviting everyone to join us. And I also want to mention that hopefully last evening, I sent out an email of the minutes from our last session. But everything can be found on our website. So if you have the question or someone comes to you and says, where can I find out more information about strategic planning? If you go to our district website page, and on the bottom there, you can see it circled, strategic planning, and you click on that. All the presentations that Glenn Thornton has done from New Jersey School Boards as part of our meetings, and then also all the minutes from our meetings are all listed there, so folks can kind of take a look at that. So again, if you're available, we're really hoping to have a good turnout at that last session, and then we'll really be starting to kind of put all that together and as we work on developing a new 5-year plan. All right, so school construction update. So as you recall, at our March 27th meeting, Board of Education approved the resolution, 2 resolutions that night. But the one that I want to specifically talk about is the pre-K4 building, because we awarded the bid to H&S Construction for the renovation of the South Hunterdon Elementary School, or our new pre-K4 building. So on Thursday, April 13th, we received a letter from the attorney from H&S Construction that stated the following. As H&S broke down the estimate for the lump sum final bid amount into their individual schedule of values, items for labor and materials, they noticed a significant math error. In that, all estimate lines within the division in doors and hardware. So in essence, what they're saying is they forgot to include in their bid anything to do with doors and hardware for the entire project. And it didn't, for whatever reason, mathematically transpose into the final bid amount. The error apparently was attributable to faulty program formula within the division. And the result was that the bid submitted was $508,950 less than the actual sum of the line items comprising the estimate. This error could not have been previously identified and involved no negligence on the part of H&S or its subcontractors. Such errors are recognized by the courts as justification for equitable withdrawal of the bid. No one is more upset than H&S that it must withdraw its bid and apologize for the late notice. So, the board has 2 options, okay? We can litigate with H&S and try to force them to do the project at the bid number that was submitted, but I think all of us would agree that we're tired of litigation, and we've done enough of it. So that was not something that was entirely appealable to the board. Or, option 2 is, we can release H&S from the project and award the bid to the second lowest bidder. The Board of Education Hopefully this evening, we'll be releasing H&S from the project and awarding it to the next lowest bidder, which is Scazzeri Construction. And just as a reminder, when we look at the bids from the meeting that I showed back on March 27th, Scazzeri came in second as far as the bid process. So that's the numbers that we're looking at. And the nice thing about this is by awarding it tonight, which I believe Scazzeri is in the audience this evening, we will be able to move forward and stay on schedule just as we have been doing. We've started some of the permit process, and that really gets into my next slide. Scazzeri will, take over the permit process. We've been working with the city of Lambertville, and we're on pace. The goal is still to have construction begin on Monday, June 12th. As soon as we get out of school, we will be setting up a kickoff meeting with Scazzeri very quickly, right after the board hopefully adopts the resolution this evening, so we can kind of move things forward. So the moral of the story is, it is going to cost us a little bit more. However, if we decided to litigate, it probably would have cost a lot more, and quite honestly, it would have delayed things. And we are on a tight schedule. And full disclosure, if a contractor doesn't really want to be on the job, I don't really want him to be on the job. So I'm happy that we're able to move on pretty quickly and award tonight, hopefully, and then we will continue moving forward. So that is the important update for June 12th, or for LPS to start construction on June 12th. And then as far as the 5-8 building, we're still in the permit process, so we're working through that with the township. But one thing that I wanted to highlight is these are renderings for the 5-8 furniture. So these are not just ideas. These are actually the furniture. So kudos to Mr. Miller and a group of teachers in the district. We formed the committee back in January. They met many times and worked with a vendor of ours. And we also had different pieces shipped to us of furniture, desks, chairs, all kinds of different things for teachers to try out. And then we've made some final decisions. We gave all that information to our vendor, and our vendor has now put together renderings of what some of our spaces are going to look like. So I wanted to share that because it is quite exciting. So we are working with specifically the company called Morco, who does a lot of design of furniture. So this is just a little bit of background, and I'll share that. But the first space is our cafeteria space. So you can see right now kind of the design and what we're looking at for the space as a combination of different, types of tables and chairs. And then you can see the visual where right now we're talking about 2 flat panels that are about 85 inches in length on each side that we can use as a message board, but also as a projector. And then we're talking about whether or not we still need another projector in the middle of the room, but we haven't made any final decisions on that, which is exciting from the technology. So the important thing is that's important for school, but for me, it's more important for the community because remember, this was a community space and we wanted to make sure if the community was utilizing it for a variety of different activities, it was accessible and technology would be accessible for them to use to present in a variety of different ways. Just some additional kind of views of different things. And then this is actually, so if you're familiar with the design, there's an area which kind of is like 2 stories, almost like an atrium before the main part of the building attaches to the 2 wings of the building. So we talked about what we can do with that space. We want to have like flexible furniture, different areas where kids can kind of, meet or if whatever it may be. So we've been working on, and this is all flexible furniture. It can be moved around very easily. We talk about some display models for digital signage, which is pretty cool. Just to kind of give you an idea, that door right there to the right is our speech room. So if students are, waiting for speech or whatever, an area to wait outside. And then when we talk about classroom space, these are the designs that we're looking at. So in this specifically, you'll notice the one outlier is one of the desks that's bright white. So that's a whiteboard surface. So we've been piloting that. We're still having discussions on whether we're going to go all the desk whiteboard or some of the desks, depending upon. And you can see the key ingredient to this, it's all flexible furniture. It can be maneuvered in groups of 2, 4, whatever it may be. You'll see the room doesn't have a standard big teacher desk, lunky teacher desk. The teacher desk is very small in the corner. There's a presenting podium with wheels on it that can move around. Storage furniture can be moved around. So everything is flexible so the space can be reconfigured very quickly. And that kind of just gives you an idea. And if you remember, and we're not 100% sold yet, but if you remember, the different wings of the building had different color combinations. So you can see that floor has a yellow in it, all the classrooms in that wing. So we tried to match the furniture as such as well. And again, all flexible, can move around. It's really exciting. So we really tried to get away from like fixed casework that takes up a lot of space and really looking for things that can move around and be configured very quickly.
Tony, where do the backpacks go? Underneath there?
There is storage. Some of the desks we looked at, there is storage for that, or there could be areas inside the classroom that we would movable that we can store. And lockers. Remember, 5'8", they'll all have lockers.
Yeah.
Here's another design. Again, this time with orange. This is really cool. Again, can be reconfigured very quickly, very easily. This is our self-contained. So for our autism program that we have, we designed the classroom space, also has a sink area on it as well, depending upon the activities. So, you know, you can see over here, typically in a room like this, we would have some paraprofessionals, so we have spaces. We have movable storage. We're going to include a couple more seats other than just one. Really would like to have like 4. And then again, like, you know, there's an instructional area, there's a kidney-shaped table for teacher-led station, different things for students to kind of maneuver around. So you're aware now, if you're not aware, we have students in our middle school program in this building that facilitate a beverage cart every day or 3 days a week, where they're doing snacks, hot chocolate, coffee, tea. They take orders from the staff, they prepare it all, and so they need a space with a sink and countertop, and then they deliver it, and then they collect the fees as far as whether you're going to pay cash or put it on your tab, which I have to do. I think I owe my bill, actually, but I'm a big fan of the hot chocolate. And then this is our STEAM room, so it's kind of combination art and STEM. So again, flexible furniture, a lot of counter space, sinks available for art class. If you see around here, this is all display areas for projects. Again, very flexible furniture, storage flexible, like at the end of each table. So if there's different supplies related to STEM, it's very much accessible. You know, higher desk, lower desk, ADA accessible, depending upon if we needed it. Teacher workstation, which looks very different from a typical teacher workstation you would see in one of our rooms right now. And then this is a science room. So our science room's in the new building. You can kind of see what it looks like. So there's a classroom space. All these tabletops are chemical resistant. So if there was anything they were doing with chemicals here, they're all chemical resistant, even though it doesn't look like a standard science table. And then obviously these are your lab stations around the perimeter with plenty of casework for storage. And again, you can see flexible furniture can be moved easily throughout the room depending upon the activity. So that is it. It will be part of my presentation that I send out, but that's exciting. And kudos again to a lot of things that our teachers looked at and tried and sat in and used with students to eventually give feedback. And I think the most exciting thing about it was, and Dave Miller said it the best, the company that we're working with hit it spot on as far as what our teachers wanted. They were very happy when they saw it, so very exciting. So that is my report. Is there any questions from the board first before we open it up for public comment? About anything they saw? Anything with strategic planning? Anything anybody wants to say?
Please come to the next meeting.
Yeah.
But we've had a really good turnout for the first two. It's nice to see a lot of people. Many of you have been there and many others. So, yeah, please get your friends to come to the next meeting. This is the big one, right? So this is the, goal with it, so we'll have some fun. Thank you for the report. And so with that, I will open the first regular public comment period. The usual rules apply. Does anyone have a comment, question, statement that they'd like to bring to the board? Don't see any comments. So, and we have no comments online, so then I will close the public comment period. Keep in mind, there will be another period at the end of the meeting. So we welcome your comments. And with that, we will move into our committee reports, starting with buildings, grounds, transportation, finance, and safety. This person.
Yes. So we met on this past Thursday, talked about many of the things that Tony and Andrew talked about in the budget, as well as the superintendent update. First, you'll see the resolution put forward releasing H&S from their commitment and approving Scazzari Building Incorporated for the pre-K through 4 building. We also, you'll see a lot of contract renewals. As Andrew said, 'tis the season for contract renewals, so that's why you'll see so many. It's our annual renewal time. One thing I did want to highlight, the Chromebook upgrade, it's about a $300,000 cost, but a shout out to Vince for finding an opportunity to get funding for that, and it's being almost completely funded from the funding that we've secured. So that's awesome. Thank you, Vince. Another update for NJ ARM, which we like to highlight every meeting. We've gained about $500,000 in interest so far since we began investing money. So of course we don't want delays, but the longer the money stays there, the more money we're gaining. Then again, we talked about the preschool update in our talks with Happy Time. So it's great that that program is expanding, and great that we found a good partner in Happy Time. So that will be hopefully finalized in the coming months. And other than that, I would like to move items A through M.
So moved. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on items A through M? If there is no discussion, then let's vote.
Starting with Brian Keys? Yes. Kevin Kowaleski?
Yes.
Sean Lewis?
Yes.
Tracy Petruli?
Yeah.
Diane Patel?
Yes.
Megan Warner?
Yes.
Gina Pichetti?
Yes.
Ronnie Todd Marino?
Yes.
Jim Gallagher?
Yes. Personnel Committee, Ms. Warner.
We did meet last week. Couple of highlights. We have a couple of retirements on our hands, including Ms. Godon over at West Stanwell Elementary, which would be a big loss, a very beloved teacher. A couple of other highlights. You'll see some approvals for extracurricular stipends, which includes our extended school year staff, which are, it's all volunteer based, right, Tony? Which is, always very appreciated, and our chaperones for Camp Fairview, which is, as always, a really delightful program in, getting some of our students together from across the district. And with that, I will move items A and B.
So moved. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Petruli. Any discussion on items A and B? I would just say that it's with regret that we accept Trudy and Missy's resignations. Both of them are South Hunterdon alums, grew up in this community, went to high school here, and have contributed here for close to 30 years. Trudy has touched a lot of lives. She'll be missed.
Keep in mind, we'll be honoring our retirees at our next meeting.
So I just would like to invite the public in general, like when we do that honor, it would be really great during public comment, people could bring stories from their children or letters or submit them as correspondence or these resignations or the SFA retirement.
Absolutely.
Next month, May 22nd, yeah.
Any other discussion on the personnel? No, then let's have a vote.
Starting with Kevin Kowaleski?
Yes.
Sean Lewis?
Yes.
Tracy Petruli?
Yeah.
Diane Patel?
Yeah.
Megan Warner,
Yes.
Gina Pichetti,
Yes.
Brian Keys,
Yes.
Ronnie Todd Marino,
Yes.
Jim Gallo.
Yes. So I believe since we're up next to the curriculum.
Yes, we did meet, we actually met before spring break, it was a while ago, I had to refresh my memory. But we did talk a little bit, about, the, public next month. The other thing that we discussed was the Start Strong testing that was started in fall of 2020 will no longer continue, that's for the New Jersey Department, and the NJ SLA, which will resume assessment starting in fall of 2023. We also talked about Camp Fairview, which took place, approval of those tactics, the building and grounds approvals, and some curricular writing hours related to supplemental programs that are in place. So I don't have anything to approve for curriculum and technology, so.
But you can roll right into policy then.
Okay. So then just moving on to policy, we do have for first reading 2 policies and 1 regulation. These are all related to health. The policy 5305 is related to the health services. These are the services that we contract for a school physician, which is by Village Barber. And then also the nursing governance there in terms of, and I wrote notes, so just bear with me, in terms of the services that they provide and the requirements there. In terms of the student health records, which is 5308, there's a policy and a regulation there. This is really about how we handle the health records of the students, and then you need to keep them separate from the educational records. And there's related changes there. So they are up for first read, which means you have the ability to take a look at them, make comments, provide the comments to Tony, feel free to CC myself, and we will put them up for second reading at next month's meeting and the approval next month's meeting. So this is the time to make changes, just as a reminder in terms of how we approve these and put these into play. So with that, I would like to move letter A.
Okay, so moved. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay.
Leave the tie.
All right, we'll give it to Megan. Any discussion on the policies? There's no discussion on this vote.
Voting on Sean Lewis,
Yes.
Grace Petruli,
Yes.
Diana Purcell,
Yes.
Megan Warner,
Yes.
Gina Pichetti,
Yes.
Brian Keys,
Yes.
Kevin Kovalevka,
Yes.
Ronnie Todd Marino,
Yes.
Jim Gallagher.
Yes. And so school and community, Maria?
So in school and community, first thing we talked about were the construction updates and the letter from H&M, as Tony reviewed, and really looking at any actions that can be taken to keep the construction timeline on track. We also discussed the drop schedule transition, and I like to highlight the drop schedule for plan for next year has that flex period that's really about focusing on individualized programming for students, where we can really improve the overall student achievement. So in order to do that, there has to be an assignment every day that the kids will go to whatever is identified as the biggest need. So it might be academic support, it might be making up a test if they were absent, it might be counseling services, or it could be enrichment activities. There's a lot of different programs in the works. So I know that the administration is reviewing technical solutions that would manage that individualized daily calendar. So we'll be hearing more about that in upcoming meetings. We also, in school and community, reviewed a parent communication that details the HIB process, because there's a lot of questions about the HIB process and what are the definitions. We do have a page on our website that gives really detailed information, but we thought that there would be value in having one document that could be used as a reference for families that were wanting to understand the process better. And we talked about, and we're looking to distribute that before the start of the next school year. And then we talked about strategic planning, which, I know that the minutes are on the website for the first and the second meeting. And as was mentioned, the next meeting will be really about digging into goal setting. So that's on May 10th at 7 o'clock at the West End Wall gym. And that is it, nothing to me.
Very good. we have a HIB report to accept?
We do.
Okay, so we do have that report. I don't think we voted on the fire crews. But, so we did discuss it at the last executive session. And so we need a motion to approve that HIB report that was discussed last month. Do I have a motion? May I have a motion? Sean, thank you. Could I have a second to that motion? Second. Brian? Thank you very much. Any discussion on the HIB report? This can be a voice vote, is that right? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. So that brings us now to the second public comment period. Once again, third of the evening. So we would be happy to hear anyone's comments, statements to the board on any topic. So that is now open. If anyone has anything they would like to say. It appears that there is no comment forthcoming. Are there any online comments?
No, there is no.
There are no online comments. So then I will close the second period of public comment. I will say that the board does have a need to go into an executive session this evening. We will probably need an executive session for 30 to 45 minutes. We will not be taking action after we come out of the executive session. We will go going into another room. You're welcome to stay here. You're welcome to go. But I thank you all for coming. So I do need a motion to go into executive session at 8:09.
Second.
Tracy and Diana, thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? We'll just take a 2-minute.
The intended. Yeah.
That's not fair.
Thank you. Thank you, lady. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good to find out. Okay, night.
Thank you. Hopefully they're lucky. Last year's winners went to cross No, you could scan my future.
How modern is that?